You all right, guys?
Yes.
Right, we're good to go. Hold on, how's it work? We're probably good to go. My name's Faye and I work for Suffolk County Council Archaeological Service, where I'm the Archaeology, Archives and Projects Manager. And as part of that role, I've been the manager of the Rendlesham Revealed project, which is a project that we're focusing on today. So first of all, I'm going to give you a very brief overview of the sort of archaeological reasons for that project. And then Alice, our project delivery officer, will summarise the project's community engagement before handing over to Claire from Suffolk Mind, who's going to present some of the case studies from working with the clients from that organisation. So Rendlesham Revealed is a 4-year community archaeology project investigating early medieval or Anglo-Saxon life through the archaeology at the site at Rendlesham and down the Deben Valley in southeast Suffolk. So it's funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund, which is always a mouthful. And they gave us just over 500,000 in a grant. And we also have contributions from smaller organisations such as CBA East and Suffolk Institute of Archaeology and History. It's probably worth mentioning at this point that the Rendlesham project, Rendlesham Revealed, is a continuation of archaeological work and research at Rendlesham, which started with myself back in 2008. So this is a project that has been going since then, and the latest version of it, the community project, is really been a success due to the support that we've had from all of the partners that you can see there on the screen. That's too many to go through, and also from the landowners and the farmers, and we're extremely grateful for everybody that's helped with the project, their help and their involvement. So very briefly, just about the archaeology. The site is located at Rendlesham, which is 6 kilometres upriver from the princely burial ground site at Sutton Hoo that you probably will have heard of. Rendlesham is named in documentary sources by Bede, the monk, as a vicus regius or royal settlement, and the site has a 5th century settlement and associated cemetery. And then by the late 6th and 7th century, it grows to over 50 hectares, which is the largest site of its kind of this period known in England. The elite activity occurs on a promontory, and we have a royal compound there, where the kings of East Anglia would have stayed when they visited East Anglia. So you can see here on this slide a drone shot of the foundations of one of the monumental halls, which has been excavated by volunteers back in 2022. So for over 150 years, from the late 6th to the 8th centuries, Rendlesham was a core territory of East Anglian royal power, and it's one of the most important places in East Anglia at this time, and the site is of international significance, which is why it was so important to us to be able to open this site out to people in the local community, and especially some of our target groups that Alice and Claire are going to take you through now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Faye. So just briefly about the community involvement. So the Rendlesham Revealed project has 3 main activity strands: archaeological fieldwork and post-excavation, which was the main effort, experimental archaeology, and interpretation and digital access. The project aimed to further understand the archaeology, engage and empower the community through training in new skills, and promoting health, wellbeing, and inclusion. We used a model where the fieldwork was undertaken by volunteers under the professional guidance of a small team coordinated by Suffolk County Council Archaeological Service, and with academic advice from Professor Christopher Scull, with expertise from contractors and project partners to deliver these activities. Over 600 volunteers have been involved across all of the project activities. And in addition to engaging the general public and local societies, we also proactively engage with young people and people who would not normally have the opportunity to take part in archaeology. This involved 2 local primary schools, young people aged 13 to 16 via Suffolk family carers who care for a family member who suffer either physical or mental health illnesses, and adults via Suffolk Mind's Wave service who have been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and PTSD, which Claire will talk about later. We found the key to successfully engaging these groups was consultation early on in the project, so we could meet their needs and address barriers such as providing transport and accommodation. Their experience on site was not manufactured. Everybody received hands-on training in different aspects of the archaeological process, and their skills were recorded in Badger Archaeology Skills Passports. We measured impact using light touch evaluation, using wellbeing umbrellas, traditional questionnaires, and group feedback sessions. And on the screen is a table showing the wellbeing improvement percentage before versus after the activity. And this shows a positive improvement year on year. In the feedback sessions and questionnaires, this identified various reasons, such as being treated as part of the team, making a meaningful contribution to research, and being given a choice to pursue which activity they enjoyed the most. And we saw the most impact with volunteers who returned over multiple years. So primary school children returning each year showed visible improvements in their communication and social skills. Several clients from Suffolk Mind returned each year, which reinforced the message that their time and work was valued. And for the Suffolk family carers, we organised a 3-day residential each year, and this concentrated experience enabled them to gain important life skills and improve confidence. So now I just wanted to share a 2-minute video with you all, which the young people from Suffolk family carers have made entirely themselves about their experience at the excavations, and then I'll hand over to Claire to talk about Suffolk Mind. Thank you, and I'll now hand over to Claire.
Yeah, thank you, Aidan, for demonstrating that you're not very into this either, because I'm not either. So I hope that I'll get the right slides. So let's forget. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I'm Claire, and I'm from Suffolk Mind, and I work for a personality disorder service. So we have most of the time about 800 people on our waiting list across Suffolk who have come in from various resources, various referral pathways, and they can self-refer. But many of them have borderline personality disorder or emotionally unstable personality disorder, which some of you might know is pretty much the same, or complex PTSD. But then they also have various other diagnoses or difficulties as well that they might be struggling with, or that might make it more challenging, like ADHD, autistic spectrum disorder, and significant trauma is very common in this group of people that we are working with. It's a year-long program when they come to us. So I teach them psychological education. My background is psychology. And they have 26 core programs relating to those diagnoses as they progress through the year. And they are 18 plus. So we have had people as young as 18. That's very common. We've had people as old as 74. It's the oldest person that we've had. And I have been doing that for the last 8 years. So we'll see if this is the right button. No, it's the wrong one. There we go. So I'm going to explain briefly personality disorder, or borderline personality disorder, or emotionally unstable personality disorder. Not everybody loves that label either. So I've got on the screen here something from the National Centre of Biotechnical Information. It is 2017, but it's very relevant because I don't really think that the situation has changed very much. So personality disorder is a serious mental health condition affecting up to 52% of psychiatric outpatients and 70% of inpatients and forensic patients, so those who might be in prison with various behaviours. Given the significant public health implications associated with this, including extensive use of healthcare resources, so high intensity users, high rates of suicide and reduced life expectancy, effective treatment is a priority. So that's why I do this job, for that last statement, because it is, it's seen as long and enduring, and it has a significant impact on someone's life throughout their life. So what is it? In a short space of time, I've tried to explain it. So if you imagine a pendulum, when people say they have borderline personality disorder, it doesn't mean that they nearly have it, which a lot of people sometimes think. It means that throughout the day, throughout the week, people's emotions are swinging right into the borderline of psychosis, or over into, and right over into the borderline of neurosis, which is quite an old word, or into. And And if you imagine that daily throughout the day, that's exhausting, terrifying, and very difficult to kind of run your life and function sometimes when that's what's happening. And there are various reasons why that will develop in a person, but we haven't got time to go into that. So that will lead them to have, irrational thoughts, paranoia, hallucinations, delusions, and this is, severely distressing for somebody. Anxiety, low self-esteem, negative emotions, irritability, anger, poor response to stress, and to interpret everyday situations as a threat. And they sound on paper like, that's just kind of words, isn't it, that I'm telling you? But when you're experiencing that level of fear and anxiety up and down daily, really overwhelming, intense emotions, it's really difficult. I think daily how brave the people I work with are, really. So the causes are genetic and biological, that nature, nurture. Some people, with a predisposition coupled with negative environment, very, very often trauma, not always, but very often. Complex PTSD can also be derived from prolonged childhood trauma or any other kind of trauma. Affecting how someone thinks, feels and perceives and relates to others. So if your brain has decided the world is scary, everything you do is a reaction to that. So it's very difficult for you to lead a normal conversation, for example, or maybe just go to the shop. So I just want to give a sense of what that's like for someone, for those of you who might not know. So I met Alice and Faye, and that was the best thing ever. And really just instantly thought this would be an amazing thing to do. We're lucky enough to have the Rendlesham Revealed project on our doorstep. And these people who don't have high self-esteem at all. They really don't think that anybody wants them. Genuinely, a lot of our clients are really quite severe personality disorder and complex PTSD. And their experience of life is that people don't want them. They are really low down when it comes to how they perceive themselves. So this is how they described being on the project. So the people that I'm describing, the case studies, have been really amazing in letting us do this, letting us show photographs of them and letting us use their name. So Doug, he has diagnosis of ADHD, BPD, and post-traumatic stress. He was in the forces originally. And he said, if you are suffering from the conflicting traits of ADHD and BPD, borderline personality disorder, that needle is flickering, smashing from either side of the dial and not settling on anything. And he's describing that pendulum to a T, really. It's never settling on anything. But when you get into the trench, into the archaeology, you're told this is your job, this is your work. That needle settles in the middle, that stable middle, which most of us kind of bob around in. And you're focused on what you're supposed to be doing with an end result. And he said, if I can ever talk to anyone about how much it's changed my life, I will talk forever. He has gone on to do other archaeological projects. I don't think he's stopped working on them, has he? Since about the last 2 years. I don't think he left site very much. No. And he is a changed man. His condition was life-threatening. So it is not currently. So Nev said, when I joined Waves, I wouldn't say boo to anyone. He was one of my clients in the area that I cover, and that was very true. I would hardly leave the house. The first day we went to Rendlesham was my favourite day because it got me hooked. We wanted to stay. It's brought us back to earth, just the calming nature of doing it and the history behind it. He's now training with Can Connect to be a lived experience peer support worker. He cried when he realised that people weren't joking. They actually did want him to share his lived experience. Client A wants to be anonymous, which is completely fine. It's very small. I needed my glasses. So this is a person who really struggled to engage. So every time she would be on the phone with us in a one-to-one session, she would just scream. And so we disengaged that kind of session because it wasn't productive. And so the first time I met her as a member of that team, we met in a field doing this project. And that helped for various reasons. And she came to pretty much every single one, I think. And one of the most defining moments was the field walk We were literally in the field, and that's the first time she started to speak with words and explain why she screamed. She didn't have to because we were doing archaeology. We weren't doing anything relating to that, but she did, and it was super useful that she did. And when we're in the Anthropology Museum at Cambridge University linking this project, she opened up about her background because she was looking at something to do with evolution. So it really enabled me to understand her and to support her better. And lastly, client A. Oh, still client A, sorry. She said, the first year I learned about soil samples and I helped get some. I also got to take part in the first dig, which I really enjoyed and got to do plenty of. I learned it's possible to be involved in something like this and really appreciate being included. Hope to help some more in the future. My wishes were granted the last day and human remains were found. It's so special that I got to be part of something so sacred. I'll never forget it. Human remains were her priority. So yeah, she was really happy. And I think I've probably overrun time. So I'd really like to say thank you to Faye and Alice, because if it wasn't for them and all the other funders, if it wasn't for this project, our clients would never have got to do this because they paid all the expenses for them to go there. Most of them are on some kind of benefit. They just would not have been able to access it. So it's absolutely unbelievable. And we're working now on going forward and doing some more stuff. So joint funding. So that's it. Thank you.